Is it the same thing every day?
He's just sitting there smoking a cigarette.
Oh my gosh.
He's not even backing up. He's just sitting there.
Well, how is it on?
He's got it in reverse.
Or he doesn't care. Is he Panamanian? He likes the
I
noise.
don't know. He's just backing up. He's not backing up. He is.
Oh wait.
Oh, here he goes. Here he goes. Now he's backing up. All right. There he goes. That was the longest reverse in history. Yes, the phantom beeper. There he goes. All right. How you doing, folks? I am checking to make sure. Tell me where you're all at. Did Connie already ask you that? I'd like to. I'm pretty. Yeah, more cowbell. It's like that. Yeah, more beeper. He's just sitting in his van smoking a cigarette. Yeah. All right, Oklahoma, Atlanta, India. Wow, Nevada, Georgia, East Tennessee, Coronado, Panama. All right, Coronado. Maybe you can tell us what's going on in Panama. Look at all these people from all over the place. That is incredible. Holy cow. Wouldn't be alive without the beeper. There's the Green Beret group. Hey, good to see you guys. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, folks. Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's pretty awesome. Zimbabwe. Wow. Holy cow. I got to go interview that guy at some point. I'm going to have to go interview him. I'm just going to have to do that. But I don't know what his deal is. It's just become such a joke. Okay, folks. Well, yesterday on the podcast, a guy named Ken donated $50 and said he could hear the kids playing out here in the parking lot. And he said, go buy those kids some candy. So we decided to do that, but we went over there to the hotel to see how many kids there were. And we asked the guy at the front desk, and he looked up on his list, and he said there's 47 or 49? 47 kids living here at this hotel. They've got a little tiny parking lot to play in. They won't let them use the pool, although, I mean, it's cold, but I guarantee you my kids would have been in the pool, even if it's, what is it, like probably 60 degrees out here tonight. And they play out in the parking lot. They play soccer and whatever. They were playing cops and robbers a few minutes ago, running around with these plastic guns shooting at each other. So we decided we're going to do better than just give them some candy. We are going to spoil them for Hanukkah, which is coming up December 7th. And so we're going to put together little boxes, kind of like Samaritan's Purse does, with some gifts. Connie is very excited to get a chance to go and buy all kinds of toys for these kids. And we've arranged with the front desk of the hotel. We're going to go in and put these boxes together and put some presents and toys and candies and stuff in there to try to brighten up these kids' holiday season, because they're going to spend their holidays not at home, maybe not even with their loved ones. They're just going to be living in this hotel far away from where they normally live. And so whatever we can raise on either the YouTube live here or over on my link tree, Connie will put up, we've got a website you can go to that's got a list of different payment options, PayPal and all that, and we can gather up that money, and we're going to bless those kids with it after the live is over tonight, and then we'll film that and show you in the next day or two or three, however long it takes us to do it, what we did for those kids. Okay, so a quick update for those of you that didn't watch the live I did over on CBN's YouTube a few minutes ago. Just quick update on what's going on in Israel. Things are really going hard in the south. Gaza, the IDF knows that their time is very limited, and so they are giving it all they've got down there. They are finding lots and lots of terror tunnels. They have so far found more than 800 tunnel entrances, 800 of them just in the northern part of Gaza. And they've destroyed at least 500 of those. I don't know why they haven't destroyed them all, but maybe they haven't got around to it. Or maybe they're keeping some of them open. They're trying to seal up the entrances in certain places to force anybody that's in there to come out other entrances, perhaps. The entrances, the videos that I saw today were 15 meters deep. So what's that, like 45, 50 feet deep? And they were right next to a large school, which is built by the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And theoretically, that would make that school a, at least, if not a direct military target, it would make that school an ancillary military target, meaning they bomb the tunnel entrance and it's 15 meters from the school and the school gets damaged. That's not on the IDF. That's on Hamas for building their military infrastructure right next to the school. As I said, and I'll keep saying, we know now that the Gaza is a military base with a bunch of civilians running around on it, not a civilian area with a couple of military installations. So the whole place is a military base, and they are proving that in the south because they've been firing rockets out of the south toward Israel today. And Israel responded by flattening an entire neighborhood in Khan Yunis. They say that neighborhood was built by the Qataris, and some people speculated that this was Israel getting back at the Qataris for harboring the Hamas leaders. I don't know that that's true. Like I said on the other live, I don't think Israel can afford right now to just be petty. They are taking out military targets, and if there were rockets being fired from that neighborhood, they're going to take out the neighborhood. And they just flattened these buildings. So I put the video of that up on my website. You can go over to chuckholton.com and see the video for yourself and just watch it go kaboom, 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 and they just flatten all the buildings in this neighborhood. It also bears mentioning that these that the people were probably warned first because it looked like they were getting out. I'll talk about the Red Sea attacks in just a minute, Andrea. But there's another video that I uploaded to my website over at Locals that shows the aftermath of a bombing attack in the Jabalia area of Gaza City in northern Gaza. So the media calls this the Jabalia refugee camp because they're trying to influence your opinion about Israel. Oh, Israel's attacking a refugee camp. How could they? But you'll see if you go look at it. This is no camp. It's a high-rise building area. And now it's a rubble area with a lot of dust. And they, if you look at that, watch that video that I put up about that attack, you can surmise some things from what you see. First of all, look at the people in the video. They're virtually all military-age males. And this is in northern Gaza. So these people were given plenty of opportunity to leave and to go south. As a matter of fact, they just had a week-long ceasefire when all of them could have gotten out and could have left and gone south. In fact, many of them came north from the south and are now there. Now, so these are military-age males. They're in civilian clothes, but that doesn't make them civilians. There's no way to know if this guy is a Hamas fighter or not, because unless he's carrying a gun, he's going to be dressed like he dresses, like he woke up probably. And when he picks up a gun, now he's a combatant. But if Israel has been warning people to leave, giving people the ability to leave, assisting them in leaving, telling them what they're going to do to northern Gaza, and then had a week-long ceasefire to boot where they could have left, and they're still not gone. It's hard to feel sorry for these people. Thank you very much for all the contributions. Those kids are going to have a great Hanukkah. We even scouted out a few places where we could, rather than go to like a big box store and buy a bunch of toys or something, we're going to go down to the old city and go down into the Christian quarter or the Armenian quarter, and we're going to buy from the local merchants down there and try to support those guys, because they have been hurting since the tourists are all gone, and we're going to try to spread the love around a little bit down there. Now, locals reading maintenance being done. Connie, can you get on the locals page?
Down for maintenance.
It says down for maintenance. Well, sorry folks, I don't run locals. Give it a few minutes. It was working like literally 5 minutes before I came live here because I was uploading stuff to it. So we'll see if it just, we'll just have to give it a minute. Thanks for letting me know that, though. I appreciate it. So, okay, where was I? Now, I was going to talk about they were asking about the ships in the Red Sea. Well, you know my opinion about the Houthis. They can't dance and they can't shoot. And their shooting is actually worse than their dancing, which is hard to believe. And so they have been shooting rockets at Israel since the beginning. They've yet to hit Israel. They've been shooting drones and rockets and stuff at ships, and now today they've attacked a handful of ships in the Red Sea, one of which was a U.S. Navy destroyer. Big mistake, bad idea. It's not really a good idea to start throwing your cheap homemade missiles at a U.S. Navy destroyer. And so it's likely that some Houthis are about to die. And the United States really has not, neither the United States nor the Israelis have bothered with responding to the Houthi provocations, because that's all they are. I mean, they haven't even damaged anything of significance yet. They blew up some kind of building on the Egyptian border, and they have damaged a couple of ships now. Apparently they hit one of the ships. There was a merchant vessel out in the Red Sea. So apparently now the Houthis have decided that if it's floating in the Red Sea, it's a dangerous Zionist ship and must be destroyed. And so look out for the seagulls and stuff there too, because the Houthis will probably start shooting at them before too long. It's just, they're beyond parody, those guys. They're just ridiculous. So we may see an escalation in the conflict, because the United States is going to go, yeah, no, you're not going to shoot at our ships. And there was an explosion in Yemen the other day, and nobody quite knows exactly what it was, but it was a really big boom. And so that could have been a strike, or it could have just been the Houthis deciding to, dance again and maybe smoke cigarettes around their firecracker plant or something. We don't know. So thank you for all the donations. I don't know if Connie's able to even keep up with those, but we'll let you know how much we raise at the end, and we'll pass it around to those kids. They're going to have a great Christmas. And that's only 12 and under, actually. The 47 kids that he said they've got in the hotel over there are kids 12 and under, not 18 and under or 21 and under, like the media likes to say are kids. Speaking of which, the media has been hammering on Israel for killing children in the West Bank lately, because they've shown carefully edited video of some young guys getting shot and falling over in the street. But what they didn't show right before they got shot was those kids throwing rocks at the IDF, or Molotov cocktails, or firecrackers at the IDF. And maybe they're training to become Antifa fighters. I don't know. But the IDF is not in any mood to play right now. And if you threaten them, they're going to react accordingly and shoot you. And that's what's happened. And there wasn't apparently an 8-year-old boy that was killed. It's really sad. One of the other things that I'm going to upload to my locals page, or it should be uploaded already unless it died over there, but is a video that one of the viewers sent me of the UNRWA schools in the West Bank. And somebody went into some of those schools. These are, again, funded by the United Nations, built by the United Nations. The teachers are paid by the United Nations. Okay, this is UNRWA schools. This one's in Nablus. They went in there and they started interviewing the kids about what are you learning at school? And everything they said was, we're learning to be martyrs for jihad. We're learning that all the Jews need to die. We're learning that we will someday return to our homeland and drive the Jews into the sea. And it just goes on and on and on like that for like 7 minutes. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And so that's what these kids are being taught in the schools funded by the United Nations in the West Bank. So you can understand why the kids would go out and throw rocks and firecrackers at the IDF soldiers who are there. But it's just really, really tragic because it really doesn't need to be that way. And if you weren't brainwashing your kids to go throw rocks at the soldiers, then the soldiers probably wouldn't shoot your kids. I'm really sorry to say that. But man, the world is a really tough, painful place. This is called stupid in a no stupid zone. That's what we used to call that with our kids. Don't be stupid in a no stupid zone. And unfortunately, those kids are being stupid in a no stupid zone. I hate that, but you know, you look at the difference between them and what is happening over here. Would you hand me that pamphlet again, babe? What the kids here are being taught? Wow, thank you very much. Let's see, it looks like a question maybe. I appreciate the, please add this to your candy, $49.99. Thank you, Bigfoot. Very nice. I thought that was a question. I showed this the other night. This is a pamphlet that's being handed out to the kids at this hotel and at all the hotels around here. So while the kids in the West Bank are learning to kill Jews and drive them into the sea, these ones over here, the Israeli kids, are being taught about how to manage their trauma. This, I'll just read you a little bit. It says, today it happened again. We just sat down at the table. It was a kind of winter day, gray and cloudy. Suddenly there was lightning. I heard a loud boom. I felt a contraction and my heart was pounding. A second passed. I realized it's not thunder, it's a missile. But at that moment, it's so scary. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not thunder, it's a missile. Yeah. My body doesn't discriminate. It's just terrifying for it. My heart is really beating. My stomach contracts and I feel like running. Maybe to the shelter, just not to be alone. And it goes on and it says, breathe deeply, drink a little, choose what makes me feel good. Some music or fool around with a friend. A butterfly hug. I don't know what a butterfly hug is. Anybody know what a butterfly hug is? If you know what a butterfly hug is, let me know. Or a safe place, which makes me feel better. And it's got pictures of a kid crying there. Isn't that sad? This is what the Israeli children are having to deal with right now, while the children in Gaza are being taught in their school to kill Jews. Well, that's pretty unfortunate. So I wanted to talk about that, and I mentioned on the other live that the Biden administration, in response to this, has decided that they're going to sanction or put visa restrictions on people out of the West Bank. Now, we're not talking about these terrorists. You might think so. You might think that they were actually talking about, Palestinians who attempt to, foment terror in Israel, or Palestinians or Arabs over there who attack Israelis or call for more attacks on Israelis. You might think that would be the people group you would want to restrict from coming to the United States. But that's not what they're doing. They're actually passing visa restrictions on Israelis who live legally in the West Bank in settlements over there. And not allowing them to come to the United States. So they're punishing the people who are not doing anything wrong, and they are rewarding the people who are teaching their children to become martyrs. This is the Biden administration for you. Yeah, that's nice. That's great. So very exciting there. Now, let me go back and answer a couple of these questions before they get too far behind. Let's see, I saw somebody asking how I keep my cool. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm not afraid. I don't get afraid. I don't feel fear. I really don't. I mean, not just saying that, I really don't feel fear, because I understand that I am safer doing this job, because this is what God has called me to do, than I would be sitting at home on my couch outside of God's purpose. And that doesn't mean that I won't get killed. It doesn't mean that I won't get hurt. And I have been shot at and blown up and almost kidnapped and things like that doing this job. But I'm not afraid of those things, because I don't have to fear the future because of whose I am, and because I am fulfilling my mission here on earth. And so I can be completely fearless and just do and make my decisions based on what God is calling me to do, and not on the emotion that I feel inside. Now, there are times when I look over there and go, a guy could get hurt doing this, and maybe we should go over here for a while. And, I mean, that's just being smart. The Bible says that a wise man recognizes danger and flees from it. So it's not that I'm, ridiculously stupid in charging into hails of bullets for no reason, but I don't feel fear, and I haven't for a long time. And I actually wrote a whole book about this. It's called Bulletproof: The Making of an Invincible Mind. And you can go look it up on my website, or you can go look it up on Amazon or wherever you buy books. It was a book I wrote quite a while ago, and we're actually translating it into Spanish now. What's going on with Biden, and why does he have so much power in Israel? The United States, not Biden, the United States has a lot of power over Israel because we give a lot of aid to Israel. Israel is one of the largest aid recipients from the United States, and has been for many, 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 many years. And we've been good allies with Israel for a long time. But during recent Democratic administrations, our relationship with Israel has been very strained. It was even worse than it is now under the Obama administration, because Obama just really loved Iran, and Iran is the arch enemy of Israel. So, bad thing there. And the Biden administration has tried very hard since the beginning of this thing to straddle the fence, because they have a lot of Jewish donors, or Democrats, and they're losing them very quickly. What they're managing to do now by trying to straddle that fence is they're managing to make both sides mad at them, which is just fine with me. And, nobody's going to be happy if they try to chart a course down the middle, because either you're on the side of civilization and morality, or you're on the side of monstrous barbarity. And you have kind of, it's straddling the fence on that one is going to be pretty painful, right? You get it? Okay, so let's see. Try to put some bee honey in your tea. I've been putting so much honey in my tea that I'm going to start looking like Winnie the Pooh here pretty soon. What about the Houthis trying to cross through Saudi Arabia to get to Israel? Well, the Houthis and the Saudis are arch enemies. The Houthis are a rebel group that's funded by Iran in order to attack Saudi Arabia. So there's a giant fence, like a wall, like a Trump wall between Saudi Arabia and Yemen. And so it would be difficult, not to mention the fact that it's 9 million miles of desert for them to cross, and that the Saudis have lots and lots of things like F-16s that could make your day very bad if you try to cross into their country. So it's not likely that the Houthis are going to be like trekking through, Saudi Arabia on their camels to try to get to Israel. That's just not going to happen. Okay, let's see here. Question, how do you keep your calm? Okay, I got that part. I got that one. See what other questions we got. From an NCO in the Army to an international war correspondent. Maybe a gentle hug because they're hurting. Yeah, I don't know what a butterfly hug is. Eyelashes up against the cheek are butterfly. I thought those were butterfly kisses. My mom used to do that with me when I was a kid. I thought those were butterfly kisses. Maybe that's what a butterfly hug is here in Israel, but it's Israel, so you never know, and it might be something really weird. I mean, who knows? But I'm sure we have somebody who lives here in Israel that's watching right now who can let us know what a butterfly hug is. Just a soft hug? Well, that's no fun. I like bear hugs. Maybe bear hug sounds too traumatizing. Maybe that's why. Letters to IDF soldiers. Is that a question?
Yeah, they want to know where to send letters to soldiers.
Oh, where to send letters to IDF soldiers? Wow, that's a really good question. I will reach out to the IDF tomorrow, and I will ask him if there's a way that people can send messages to the troops. When I went to the military base down in the south the other day, and I went into their barracks to use the bathroom at one point, there were sheets of paper with kids' drawings on them. The whole place was just wallpapered with them. The whole place. There were hundreds and hundreds of those, probably from kids like this over in this hotel. And so they are getting lots of letters for sure. Thank you. Someone answered. It's a soft hug. Okay. Have you ever figured out what the lights are behind you? No, we have not, actually. We've had some ideas about what they might be. And look, there's green lasers now all over the place. I really believe, and look, you probably can't see them. No, you can't see them. Let me see if I can. We'll change to this camera. I don't know if you can see over there. There's a whole bunch of green lasers coming from way over this way, going that direction, coming from this way, going that direction. I can see them all the way over the old city and coming from out there toward us. And it looks like they have is that a drone swarm? Yeah, there's some kind of entertainment thing going on out there. There's no people to watch it, but it's got to be. It looks like there's a drone swarm up in the air making a flag. That's cool. This tea, I think you could go get any tea and it would do just as good as this tea. This stuff is kind of watery and it's not that great, but it's warm and it's wet, and that's what I need for my vocal cords right now. What does the U.S. pressure on Israel look like, and does this expose Israel dependencies? Well, everybody knows that Israel is dependent on the United States, and we all know that this is a proxy conflict in many ways. Hamas attacked Israel because the United States wasn't next to Gaza. If the United States had been next to Gaza, they would have gladly attacked the United States, of course. And they always call Israel the little Satan and America the great Satan, so they're coming for us. And I just downloaded a report on Hamas presence and activity in the United States from Georgetown University. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'll post about it when I do get a chance to read it. Suffice it to say, there are lots and lots of Hamas operatives or people that are friendly to Hamas in the United States, and all you have to do is go to a college campus and you'll see that, or go to any major city and go downtown. Connie, have you looked into propolis healing properties? Folks, my vocal cords are actually damaged and I just need surgery, and I do the best I can with what I have. One of these days, I'll get around to taking 6 weeks off and not speaking for 6 weeks. That would make Connie very, very happy, but we wouldn't make any money. Butterfly hug is when you cross your arms and put your hands to your chest. Like from hugging far away? Is that like a COVID thing? Like, I'm hugging you now. See what I mean? I mean, just weird. If you're gonna hug somebody, just hug them. What does U.S. pressure on Israel look? Okay, so pressure on Israel is Anthony Blinken coming over here and lecturing the leadership of the Knesset, and telling them when they said that this is going to take months, Anthony Blinken said, "You don't have the credit for that." Nobody knows exactly what he meant by the credit for that, but it could be like, we're not going to keep supplying you with weapons if you keep fighting for 2 months. And it could be that the world is not going to put up, he just meant the world is not going to put up with you fighting for 2 months. Nobody really knows what he meant by that. But the United States does give something like, I think, about $12 billion a year to Israel. I could be wrong on that number. I'm just pulling that out of my memory bank, and it's pretty cluttered in there. So I think it's in the billions of dollars. It's a lot of money that they give to Israel. And so, yeah, that's, they do have leverage, let's put it that way. Israel needs it, without a doubt, but, yeah, it was pretty rude of Blinken to say that. Here you are, again, they're publicly standing up and saying Israel has a right to defend itself, but then also publicly saying Israel can't defend itself. Israel needs to stop and have a permanent ceasefire when they've just gotten started fighting. They're not even a quarter of the way to accomplishing their objective to making their country safe. So Israel's literally fighting for its security, its future security, and, oh, by the way, there's still over 130 hostages being held. There was a video today of one of the female hostages that they I thought believed was dead or something, but she was caught on video getting hustled away from the scene of a bombing in Gaza in Khan Yunis. And so there still are a couple of females that are being held as well. And yeah, that's exciting. Okay, so you know what? Okay, let's see. Have a whole church that wants to send them inspiration. Great, that's fantastic. Are you going to stay in Israel till the war is over? No, I'm not, Jamie, unless the war gets over by the 13th of December, because I'm going home for Christmas. Now, depending on what's going on after Christmas, I may come back here, or I may end up in Ghana, because Ghana is about to get, did I say Ghana? Guyana, French Guyana, or no, not French Guyana, Guyana is about to be invaded by its neighbor Venezuela. So I may end up over there. We don't know. Might end up back in Ukraine. There's still a lot going on in Ukraine. There's a lot going on in Armenia. And so very quickly, Armenia update. Connie and I today went down to the Armenian quarter in Old Jerusalem. They're still camping out down there. There's a bunch of Armenians that are camped out in a parking lot because there's a bishop in the Armenian church here in Jerusalem who made some kind of backdoor deal with a Jewish Israeli company, Australian guy, to basically demolish about a third of the Armenian quarter and build a giant hotel there. And then of course, the Armenians that live in the old city got very upset about that, and I'm drinking, what is it, lemon tea? Connie, you can answer that. The Armenians got really up in arms about that, and they pushed on this bishop. He then canceled the contract. After he canceled the contract, the Israeli company came back and said, well, we didn't cancel our part of the contract, so we're going to go ahead and demolish a third of the Armenian quarter and build our giant hotel. So then you have videos of Armenian guys hanging on the arm of the backhoe and not allowing it to demolish things. And now those guys are camped out down there and trying to keep them from going forward with the demolition. We went down and I got to climb up on the city walls of Old Jerusalem, which you're really not supposed to do, at least over there. But I jumped over a little barricade and shimmied up the wall and got up on the very top so I could get a picture of the Armenian church over there. And beautiful. I will post some of those pictures on my website if it comes back up after this. So that's still going on. I'm going to be coming out with a story about that probably tomorrow. I got to finish editing it tonight. Okay, then the other thing I was asked about was Panama. Wanted to just give an update on Panama. The protests are pretty much over in Panama. If you were following that, it was locked down for over a month. Panamanians have this great idea that, like, hey, I'm mad at the government about something, so I'm going to go stand in the road and make sure that nobody can bring food to my neighborhood. And then I'm going to complain that the government hasn't brought any food to my neighborhood. They were very up in arms about the some mine out in the middle of the jungle that none of them could probably find on a map, and certainly is not affecting them adversely in any way, shape, or form. It was, in fact, employing about 40,000 people. It was employing 9,000 directly, but then contracting out to a total of about 40,000 people. Crazy, crazy. And these environmentalists, and I think agents provocateurs by communist countries like Venezuela and Cuba in there stirring up the populace and, oh, you gotta save the environment. Well, this mine represented less than 1/10, less than 1%, less than 1/2% of the total forested land in Panama, and it was in an area where basically nobody lived except the mine workers, and it was bringing more than $300 million a year, $370 million a year in tax revenue into the coffers of the Panamanian government, which was going to allow the Panamanian government to expand social services and do lots of good things for the people. But instead, they wanted to shut down the mine and save the environment, which has already been destroyed because the mine has been going for 10 years and it's already done what they're going to do to the environment. And again, nobody noticed it until just now, but they decided they're going to stand in the road. Now, look, I don't care if people want to save the snails or whatever they want to do. If they want to go protest against fossil fuels, man, knock yourself out. And I mean, go for it. But if you do it in the middle of the road so that I can't go to the store to get my medications, or so that, my daughter can't go give birth to her baby, or so police and firemen can't do their jobs, and crime runs rampant, if you're going to do that, that's called terrorism. We have a word for it. It's called terrorism, because the people that you're punishing are not the people you're mad at. You're just punishing everybody in order to put pressure on the government. So you're terrorizing the populace. And there's another term for that, which is kidnapping. And so the government caved. Look, the Supreme Court took up the case and declared it unconstitutional. The mine is unconstitutional. What else were they going to do? The whole country was shut down. And so whatever, fine. If it's unconstitutional to shut down the mine, 40,000 people are out of jobs, and Panama, their bond rating has been affected. Panama will have to pay tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to this Canadian company for breaking the contract that they gave them by the terms of the contract. They are, they have absolutely wiped out the tourist sector in Panama, and that's not the kind of thing that's going to bounce back in a month. It'll take years probably for it to bounce back, because people, when they are thinking about where to go on spring break, and they go, hey, how about Panama? Well, I don't know, I heard there was some unrest down there, let's go to Costa Rica instead. That's what's happening. And so it's going to cause a contraction of the GDP in Panama of at least probably 10%. It's going to be very, very costly, but congratulations, you shut down the mine. And I hope they feel great about that. And Panamanians probably do. They probably do. Look, like I say, I think it's stupid to smack yourself in the face, like that over and over again, and then be mad at the government because your face hurts. But if that's what Panama wants to do, it's their country. They can do it. But again, doing it by standing in the middle of the road makes it terrorism in my book, and that isn't okay. That's not okay. But now that the government caved to the people, now the people have learned. We're teaching people, we're teaching the populace of Panama that all you have to do is go stand in the middle of the road and shut down traffic, and then you can get whatever you want from the government. And so the next time they're mad about anything, guess what they're going to do? We're going to see more and more and more of that, and isn't that exciting? The other thing about Panama is that you're going to, the number of transits through the canal is way down. That also hurts the Panamanian government, hurts the Panamanian GDP, because at one point about 40% of the GDP of Panama was from the canal. The number of transits used to be about 40 a day, and now they're down into the mid-20s, and they may have to shut the thing down completely for a time, because we're coming into the dry season, which means no rain for at least 100 days, and they're already at record low levels, and so that doesn't bode well for the Panamanian economy either. And so, I live there whenever I'm not somewhere else, which isn't very often, unfortunately, and I love Panama with all my heart. I love living there. We live in a beautiful place. It's safe and tranquil and peaceful, and the people are nice, and they're going to be poorer, because of what's happened over the last couple of months. That's just how it is. Sorry. All right, so that answers that question. Let's see what other questions we have. A question: can you show the box of tea on camera so it can be translated for those who want to find and try it? I don't know. Grab the box of tea, Connie. Bring it over here. Will you still report on Israel when you go home for the holidays? I'm considering it. Probably not every night, but maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I will give an update, or if something breaking happens that needs to be commented on, I will continue to do that from my fireside with my grandbabies in my lap, most likely. We'll see. Let's see. Palestinians in the middle of the road in Western country. I must have missed the part. Does the mine hurt the area? The mine in Panama is about an hour's drive from the nearest paved road, probably more like 2 hours, because it's 4x4 track, unless they've made the road a lot better. And it is the rainy season now. It's on the Caribbean coast in an area where there's no towns. Virtually all of the people in Panama live on the Pacific side of the Cordillera, the mountain the mountain range that makes Panama into an isthmus. Almost everybody lives on the Pacific side. There are very few cities on the Caribbean side, and this is an area where there aren't any cities. Again, it's been out there for a long time. If you want to look it up on a map, you just find the city of Agua Dulce, which means sweet water, and then look due north of Agua Dulce all the way to the Caribbean coast, and it's right up there. And if you look at it on Google Earth, you can actually see the mine. You can see what it's done. It's an open pit copper mine. They've stripped all the trees off. Now this is rainforest, right? So when they stop mining, it's going to take about 15 minutes for the jungle to grow back. I mean, things grow like crazy out there. Let's put it this way. I did a mission during the invasion of Panama out to an island off the coast called the island of Coiba. And there were prisons on that island at that time, penitentiaries, built up buildings, like 2-story buildings with hundreds of prisoners and all that. They shut down the prisons in 2004. I took my wife out there because, that's the kind of vacation we like, to see the prisons in 2007. And it looked like it had been 100 years. We found the ruins of the prisons, but it really seriously looked like they had been there for 100 years, and that nobody had lived there for 100 years. It was so overgrown. There were trees probably about that big around, growing up through the concrete in the middle of the prison. The roof was gone. It had been eaten off by termites or something. It was gone, and there were trees growing up all over the place. I have podcast that I made at that prison, I tell you what I'll do. I'll re-upload it so that you can see what that looks like. I give you a tour of the prison. You look at that and tell me if it looks like it's only been, what, now 30 years since that was. So again, if they stopped mining today, in a few years, that place is going to be all grown up again. And there, you know, it's like 17,000 hectares that the mine had the ability to mine on. They weren't mining on that much of it, but that was their total allotment out there. And 17,000 hectares comes out to like 0.46% of Panama's total forested land. And so it really was not that much. Okay, let's see here. Purely political, yeah, I'd say purely political. And a lot of people are going to be hurt by it too. Do you know if there have been any IDF soldiers or reservist casualties? We're in the mid 70s for IDF deaths in Gaza during the invasion. Other than that, I think there was a guy that was killed on the northern border actually just died in a training accident, and they've had some injuries, minor injuries and stuff on the north. Other than that, no, not much. So is Israel using its new laser weapon more? They are not mass producing them yet. I have not heard of them being used on a large scale. I know they have been used some, but I don't think they're using them more. So it's probably massively expensive to build this thing, and they were just in the testing stages to begin with. Let's see. My sister is a reporter in Panama, very famous. Good, I'd love to talk to her about this. Okay, let's see. Okay, click the like button, folks. If you click that like button, it helps a lot. Rick P says, I never give to these, but you guys are awesome. Well, thank you very much. Rick, I think that's right. Rick P. Thank you very much. You know, we have been extremely, extremely blessed. And not just in a material sense, but, you know, I grew up in a totally functional family. My wife came from a functional family for the most part, except for maybe her sister. I don't know, I'm kidding. Connie came from a nice, you know, intact family. Our kids grew up with a nice intact family. We have seen God's faithfulness in our lives, even when we were broker than broke. If you want to know the story about that, I'll do a whole podcast about it sometime. It's in my book, Making Men, the story of just how unbelievably broke we got. I was getting sued for millions of dollars, didn't know if I was going to go to jail, didn't know if we were going to lose our house. And, hey, babe. Oh, Connie's answering things here. Hang on a sec. More tea, please. Or well, just give me a lozenge. I got to keep drinking or I'm going to lose my voice. So we've been through some very, very tough times, but God has shown himself faithful in all of those times. And I have to say that the more things are taken away from us, the more God's presence is real in our lives. And I've seen that over and over, not just in my life, but in other people that I've known. God won't leave you. And we often have a lot of stuff in the way. And, you know, we don't own our stuff. Our stuff owns us. And it holds us in its orbit. You know, my friend Randy Elkhorn writes about that. When we learn to be generous with our things, they increase in value. My dad taught me that when I was little. When we are generous and we give away and we share the things that we have, they get more valuable. But if we hold on to the things we have too tightly and we don't share them, they lose value. And that has been very, very true in my life, all my life. And so to the extent that I have learned to be generous, my life has been richer for it. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I would encourage you to do the same. Can you send me a package from the States? Probably not. First of all, we're only going to be here for a couple more weeks. And I don't check a lot of stuff, so I don't need a bunch of stuff to carry back. Or, of course, you're probably talking about leaving things that we can give away. I had somebody yesterday that wanted to give us like 1,000 soccer balls or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm a journalist. I'm not full-time soccer ball giver awayer. And so maybe that would not be the best thing. The best thing to do, rather than spend the money on the shipping, is to send the money over here, support the local economy by buying from local merchants, and then help the people here with that. Or unless you're sending things that they just can't get here. All right, let's see. There were hostages that have died. We know there are some hostages that have died. One of them was a IDF soldier that they announced that they thought he had been captured, but they announced today that they found out that he's dead, probably because they found his remains or something along those lines in Gaza. So he died on October 7th, but they didn't find his body until just now, something like that. Let's see. You can give them an address and send them to Panama. Yeah, you don't want to mail things to Panama. Here's another weird thing about Panama. Panama does not have a address system. They don't have a system of addresses. There is no. We have no address for our house. We don't get mail at our house. The only thing we will get from time to time is actually, do we even get those power bills anymore, Connie? No, they don't. They used to send a guy around on a motorcycle and he would stick your power bill in your gate, just kind of fold it up and stick it in the gate. I see that. Wow, Rich, thank you. I'll answer that question in just a second. So they don't even do that anymore. I think you have to look it up online. But there is no mail system in Panama, so you can't mail things to people in Panama. I mean, they have a rudimentary mail system that, just like post office boxes at the post office in your city, and you just take it, send it to somebody's name in this town, and they put it there. But they can't, there's no home delivery service. They can't bring something to your house because you literally don't have an address. So we tell people, we're right behind the museum. That's it. That's where we live. That's crazy. Do you know, oh wait, let me go back and answer Rich's, what happens to the families of IDF KIAs? If possible, please donate a portion to an IDF family fund. Okay. Thank you, Rich. The families are taken care of. There is a government. One of the things that the Israelis do really, really well is take care of their people. You can see that from these luxury hotels that are full of internally displaced folks. Israel is a wealthy, relatively wealthy country, and they will not leave their people behind. They train their people that from day one, from little kids, that when you're Israeli, we're all in this together, and we will always be in it for each other, and we will never leave each other behind. And so they take good care of each other. I don't know what the payment would be as far as like a life insurance policy, but I'm sure there is one. I can try to find out, Rich, if you like. Yeah, I'll ask Chris. Wow. Hello, Chris Mitchell from CBN. He's the CBN News head of the news desk here, and I'm sure he knows someplace where an organization we can donate to. If you want to donate to help the settlers out in the West Bank, who are really in the most danger of anybody in Israel right now, I would just suggest, people ask me this a lot, I suggest going to serveisrael.com. They have an Operation Ittai going right now, ITTAI, ITTAI, that is trying to raise $24 million to buy body armor, drones, night vision, things like that for the neighborhood watch, essentially, out in the settlements in the West Bank, because they have caught tons of Arabs trying to infiltrate into the settlements to kill Jews out there. And I am afraid that you may see more than that, more of that in the future. Thank you, Laura. I'm not off grid in Panama. We are on the grid, and the grid is actually very stable for the most part. It, goes down from time to time, but it's not bad, because the nice thing about Panama is you don't need air conditioning and you don't need heat in the area where we live, which is up in the mountains. So we're about 2,300 feet above sea level, and it's like springtime temperatures there all year round, like 75 degrees all year round. And so we sleep with the windows open. We spend all day with the windows and doors open. Weird thing about that, like if you're from West Virginia, if you left your door open or your windows open at night with no screens, you'd have bugs galore all over the place. But we don't have that many in Panama. Now, I'm saying in Panama. In Panama, there are bugs the size of your face, and they're huge. And there are bugs everywhere. But where we live in Panama, up in the mountains, there are still bugs, but we don't get a lot of fly bugs that come in. There's not a lot of mosquitoes or anything like that come buzz around in the area where we are. And I think it's because it's a very balanced ecosystem up there. We're in the cloud forest. There are so many birds that people come from around the world to birdwatch in our little valley. And we can sit on our rooftop in the morning and have coffee and literally watch toucans and parrots and things all flying around, just wild up there. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And that's one of the reasons we love it up there. But so the temperature is just so nice. You don't have to, you don't really need electricity, because you don't need air conditioning or heat ever. So, it's nice. Judea and Samaria need weapons. Yes, they do. And lightning and thunder, they have had a couple 100,000 weapons, from what I'm told, that have been applied for, and a large portion of those have been granted, and they've gotten their weapons. But you know what they really need is training, because you have all these people that now have a weapon, and they don't have ammo to train with. They can't keep tons of ammo at home because of stupid Israeli law. And there are not a lot, because ammo's expensive, there are not a lot of opportunities for them to go out and train to use those firearms, and that's a really bad thing. So one of the things I'm trying to do is look for some large donors out there who can donate like $50,000, and we're going to get some laser range training systems that use a realistic Glock pistol or a carbine with a laser thing in it, and they have a video screen on the wall, and they have these dynamic video training things, like 1,000 different scenarios you can go through to train without actually using ammunition, and at least get guys capable and competent at using their firearm, and we want to raise those and bring them over here and hire some guys to train Israelis all throughout the country. And so if you know anybody that's looking to give like 50 grand to help train these guys, let me know for sure. Will unfiltered footage of the massacre be released? You're talking about the 43 minutes of unfiltered footage that they're showing to journalists. I don't know if they'll ever release that. I talked to a guy the other day who said he had it on his laptop. He's one of our viewers, so I can get a hold of that guy and ask him if it's available. It's probably out there on the web somewhere by now, but I haven't seen it. Look, the stuff that is out there is enough to convince you that what happened on October 7th was brutal and completely beyond the pale. So I don't know that you really need to see. I mean, unless you're just into, violence porn. I don't think you want to see the unfiltered version. Trust me on that. It's really bad. Never will end. War will never end until Christ returns. That's for sure. Okay. I'm going to run, folks. It is, we're right at an hour. And so thank you very much for watching. And thank you for all the donations. If you have any last minute donations, you can get those in. And we will collect up all that money. And we'll take it over there and make a great Hanukkah for the 47 children under 12 that are staying at this hotel across the way from me. If we collected enough and we have enough, maybe we can spread that out to some other hotels. So
before you go, tell them what your favorite Bible passage is.
What's my favorite Bible passage? I want to answer that in the way that I answer when people ask me what my favorite country is, having traveled to more than 100 of them. And I always say my favorite country is the next one, because I love to travel and I love to see new things. And so I want to say that about Bible verses too. My favorite Bible verse is the next one. I really enjoy like the first chapter of Psalms. The first chapter, Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, but nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He's like a tree planted by springs of water that brings forth its fruit in season. Its leaf does not wither, and in everything he does, he prospers. The wicked are not so. They're like chaff that the wind blows away. For the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the ways of the righteous, and the ways of the wicked will perish. I love that verses. I love Romans 8. I can recite the entirety of Romans 8. I love. When I was really broke, and Connie and I were really struggling, had a lot of hungry little kids, I would go back again and again to, I tell you, don't be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, what you shall put on. Isn't life more than food, or the body more than clothing? Consider the birds of the air. They don't sow or reap or gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of much more value than the birds? And why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field. They don't toil or spin, yet I tell you, Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. And if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? So don't be anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what do we wear? All the Gentiles seek these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. Seek his kingdom first, and his righteousness. All these things will be added to you. Don't be anxious about tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be anxious for itself. Every day has got enough trouble of its own. That is the kind of Bible verse that you should memorize when you're going through hard times. Because God's promises are so powerful and so life-changing. This is the reason why I'm not afraid of anything. Because I've hidden that word in my heart, and I make a habit of remembering as much scripture as I can, of hiding his word in my heart, and trying to memorize it so that it just comes to mind all the time. I highly encourage you to do that. For me, it's just a matter of recording it and then listening to it over and over and over again until I've got it. But those are some of my favorites. If you want to know more, I'll recite some more for you later. But right now I gotta run. God bless you all. Thank you very much. And please be praying for us over here. God bless you. Take care.